How not to respond to the Kaseya Ransomware attack. Today's topic on the MSP Zone.
You're entering the MSP Zone, a podcast for the managed services community, covering news, analysis, and interviews from around the globe. Elevate your MSP game by staying in the MSP Zone. And now, your host, Charles Weaver.
All right, folks. It was inevitable that we were going to get somebody, probably multiple people, not just somebody, several people, although I've only identified one. But it was inevitable that we were going to have some perspectives on this whole Kaseya ransomware incident that were going to draw not just negative, I can handle negative, but incorrect, in my opinion, and incorrect because it's based off of no data that supports the inference. In fact, the inference is rejected by the data, at least by those who are in the managed services profession. Like myself, I might be called in the managed services profession because I've been doing this for 21 years every day, talking to MSPs, observing MSPs, analyzing MSPs, studying them, studying how they deliver their services, studying the companies that sell to MSPs. This is what I do. And, we've made not trying to sugarcoat what happened to Kaseya at all. We've been very brutally honest, I think, in our assessment of what happened and what, some of the changes that need to take place in the industry. But when you have idiots, maybe that's too strong a word. I don't know if this person's an idiot. I think that they don't understand managed services. That's very clear to me. They were assigned this article. I don't think that they've ever studied it before. I don't know who this person is. I've never heard of them before. I know some of the people that they claim to have spoken to in the article. But the inference of the article is very negative to MSPs, and they try to, I think, overtly make the claim that the MSPs were at fault here, or the MSPs are in some way risky. And that's something that I'm going to take head on, and I'm going to dismantle that argument for those of you who are unlucky enough to have read this article. And by the way, I'm not going to post this article in the show notes. I'm not going to give this person or the group of people that hired this person any additional attention. I don't know this website. I came across it, and it I read it, and I thought, well, this is really the wrong conclusion to take from this, and the conclusion supports my belief that the person just doesn't understand the market at all, and they're trying to maybe capture eyeballs. They're trying to grab some more advertising revenue because of this. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. So as we've posted some episodes about this, and we're writing an op-ed, myself and Rob Scott are, about what our kind of official position is and what the MSP Alliance is going to be recommending for the global MSP community. A lot of it's going to focus on the legal language between contracts between MSPs and their vendors. It's going to certainly focus on insurance, on risk balancing. It's going to certainly impact, certification like MSP Verify and SOC 2, things that MSPs rely on, and customers, quite frankly, also rely on. So we're going to be coming out with that, but this is different. This is combating a bad idea, and unlike others out there, we don't shut down bad ideas. We expose them to truth, or at least to alternative opinions, and you can make your own mind up. But like I said, I'm not going to reference who this person is. I don't want to, call attention to it, but I'm going to do my best to relay to you what the article says and what it infers, and then give you my perspective on why I think it's wrong and why I think there's an alternate conclusion that is to be made. So here's the best. I've been describing what has been happening because people are, hey, what are you guys doing? Are you guys busy? What's going on in cybersecurity? That's how most people who are not in the profession look at what we do in managed services and at the MSP Alliance is, dealing with cybersecurity, which obviously a lot of it does. And we tell them about, what's been happening with Kaseya because they see it in the news. They see it, right? And they're not in tech, but they see it, they observe it, they consume that material, and they say, oh, isn't that what you guys do? Yeah, that's what we do. The best way we respond to people who are not in the industry is basically to say, look, we had an attack, right? It was a 0-day attack. It wasn't something. Yeah, we have some claims out there that maybe they should have known about it, but I don't think that there's any conclusive evidence that Kaseya knew about this particular vulnerability. I haven't seen that yet. Maybe it's out there. That's not my point for today's episode. The point is that these are 0-day attacks. Technically, they're 0-day attacks. And it doesn't mean that they can't be defended against, and it doesn't mean that they can't be survived. They're eminently survivable attacks. Just ask any of the MSP verified members out there who are up and running still, or were up and running even a few hours after this went public. There's observable data to say that these attacks are survivable, very much so. How we tell people about this who aren't in the industry is to say, we had an attack. Someone, made a successful attack. We're still getting to the bottom of how they did it, but they were successful. We still don't know the full scope of the damage. We don't know how many systems were actually locked up. We don't know how many did not have backups that were valid and functioning and not impacted by ransomware code. Those details are still emerging. But what we do know is that they got in. That's not in dispute. The bad guys got into the network. And so to people who aren't in technology, that's like saying, well, someone broke down your door. They got in your house. And articles like this one that I'm looking at lead the uneducated, lead the non-managed services conversant person to believe that the door was the problem. That you had a door. The door failed. You have to get another door. You have to get rid of doors. It's not just getting a new door, because that's not what they're inferring in this article. They're inferring that having a door itself is unsafe, because that's where the bad guys entered. So therefore, if you get rid of the door, you will be safe. Now, if you're scratching your head, if you're driving in your car, you're in the train for your morning commute, you're walking to work, whatever you're doing, and you're thinking, who the heck would think like this? Who would draw such a dumb and obviously observably incorrect conclusion? Well, there's a lot of people out there who think like this. I don't excuse it. All I'm saying is this is an inference that I take away from this article, is that it was the MSPs that are risky, and the evidence of that risk is borne out through this Kaseya ransomware attack. And there's no evidence that the MSPs were at fault here. This is not an MSP misconfiguring something. This is not an MSP using VSA in an improper manner. This is aimed at the customer, right? The MSPs are the door, for those of you who missed that, right? In this analogy, the MSPs are the door. The house and the contents, the valuable contents inside it, those are the customers. Those are your customers out there, you MSPs. And obviously the intruders are the bad guys, the ransomware authors. The article inferring that the MSPs are in some way culpable, adding to the danger. These things are, in my opinion, just really wrong. They're flat out wrong, and they're so wrong that we did an episode I think last year titled basically I'm going off of memory, but basically a world without MSPs, right? What would the world look like today if there were no MSPs? You want to talk about dangerous. That is a horrific, bleak outlook to envision a world where it's difficult or impossible to work with an MSP because they're not around, they're not able to practice, or it's so difficult for them to practice that they give up and they do something else. That is not a world that we are trying to achieve. We're trying to get more MSPs out there. We're trying to get more and better MSPs out there practicing worldwide, because that's the only way, by stacking up more and more doors, good, strong doors with locks. This is the best defense against these people, these organizations that want to come in there and steal. And that is the reality that I think we face. And supply chain risks are out there. If you guys are paying attention to the news and you're reading about this Pegasus stuff, right? This Israeli firm that created some spyware material that is highly, highly effective, right? I mean, this stuff doesn't even register on the common, technologies. I mean, it's really difficult to detect it. You won't even know that it's in there operating, and it can do some really serious, damage, right? It can exfiltrate data. It can spy on you, camera, audio, all that stuff. Has anyone ever said, oh my God, we have to get rid of phones. The phones are risky. Let's get rid of it. No, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep driving and texting on our phones and using social media and doing the things that people do. They're not going to seriously entertain getting rid of phones because there's a piece of software that is capable, at least as of right now, of pretty much just through no detection, just launching itself. If it comes to your device, you don't even have to click on it. You don't have to do anything. From what I'm reading, it's just like, if you get it, you got it. It's embedded. If it finds your device, it's on your device, and it's really difficult to get it out of there. And I've heard even some things that like you can't reboot it. It's not like something, if you reset it to factory settings, it's going to go away. No, you got to get rid of it. You got to get a new device until we figure out how to patch it and fix it through software. No one's seriously thinking about that. The article does get some things right? It talks about Kaseya as a supply chain vendor to the MSPs, and the MSPs do bear, now that this has happened, the MSPs need to start holding companies like Kaseya accountable. And not just, I am not singling out Kaseya, because there's others out there. There are other tools. Any tool that the MSP uses needs to be accountable. And so that's one thing that the article, inadvertently, I'm assuming, got correct, and that is, we can't ignore this as an issue. We can't just sweep it under the rug and say, oh, it doesn't exist. That was a one-time thing. It'll never happen again. No, of course. It's going to keep happening until we figure out a way to either shut down these gangs or to protect against and make it unprofitable for them to do this stuff. Like, it's too risky for them to be possessing and promoting ransomware. Like that would be a good day when that happens. But until that day happens, it needs to we have to be satisfied just with, let's make it so difficult for them that it becomes an unprofitable venture for them to undertake. And I think that that's very possible. I think that that's incredibly possible for us to get to that point where we can thwart and interfere and in every way disrupt criminal ransomware, cyber attacks to the point where they become, they give up. They just say, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Or at least maybe it's just relegated just to the nation state, real serious ones that, aren't doing it necessarily just for profit. They're doing it for other motives. I think you're always going to have that, industrial espionage, things like that. But I think if that's an outcome of disrupting the professional, organized cyber criminal enterprise, I hate to tell you, folks, there is no way this is going to happen. That reality is not going to become reality without MSPs. It's just not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen. The MSPs need to be actively involved in this process. Without them standing in front of all of these bad guys, that reality of doing away with, or at least de-escalating the threats and making it less profitable and therefore less frequent, meaning the cyber attacks. The MSPs just have an indispensable role to play as that door, as that gateway, as that one barrier between people who want in and the people who want to keep the bad people out. So I'm going to keep looking at these articles. Thankfully, I've only seen maybe one, one article that was just, really off the mark. So maybe it's not as widespread as it is. I'm hoping that's the case. I don't know who this. I was thinking about emailing this author and saying, "Hey, you know what? You got to maybe research this a little bit more, just so you don't make yourself such a mark for criticism." But it's fine. I mean, they have a right to express their opinion, and we have a right to express ours. So if you guys email me personally saying, "Hey, can I have a copy of the article?" No, I'm not going to give it to you. I don't want. I really don't want to drive any more eyeballs to this website than they unfortunately already have had. So, I just wanted you guys to be aware of it, that it's out there. Just be aware of it as a concept, that your customers might be reading this garbage, and if they are, be ready to have a discussion with them. Be ready to, kind of arm yourself with the facts and arm yourself with, what conversations should you be having with your customers to make sure that they are safe, rather than say, are we just going to play defense and wait until someone kicks that door in, and then I call you up and say, well, how come you didn't stop the person kicking in the door? Wrong answer. The right question is, were you prepared? Are you prepared for when that person does kick in or try to kick in your front door? Are you ready or not? And that's really only something that an MSP can help you with. I mean, if you're a large enterprise, if you're a government agency with 3 initials, you are already prepared. Hey, by the way, people are still going to be kicking your doors in. But the everyday small business, medium-sized business, even some of the small and mid-sized enterprise organizations out there, they need MSPs. They don't have the internal staff, tools, experience necessary to be 24/7 eyes on, watching things and making sure that things aren't going wrong. That's a good message. I think that's a very positive message. It's not a message that says no one's ever going to kick your door in. Doesn't say no one's ever going to try to come up on your porch and try to kick the door in. But it's a conversation of, yeah, we are ready. If someone tries to kick that door in, if they unfortunately do kick the door in and come inside the house, we're ready. Here's the plan. Here's 3 plans. We are ready for this. We are prepared. And as your MSP, we are going to get you through this. That is a very comforting thought. And in my opinion, that is a very pro managed services, very pro business, and very pro cyber secure posture to take. I wish someone would write an article like that. We'll see you next time on the MSP Zone.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a like. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast so you will get notified when future episodes are released. We will see you next time in the MSP Zone.